Welcome to our 26th episode of the Broken Pictures podcast / YouTube show, where we discuss the top 3 things of pop culture and entertainment that you may have missed this week.
Oh, geez, guys, just so you know, there could potentially be spoilers for your favorite TV shows, movies, video games, and/or comics. You've been warned.
This is
The FOMO Show. Hey guys, this is Dylan.
And I'm Lydia.
This is Quin.
Once again, we'd like to say thanks for joining us by YouTube or podcast. Hello to all of our new watchers or listeners in the States and internationally. And I did it again. A special thank you to those of you who are returning. If you want to keep the conversation going or support the show, you can, of course, comment below. But you can also find that information in the episode notes or on the website at www.broken.picturesno.com. Also, leave us voice messages or questions that we can play on the show. Go to www.anchor.fm/The FOMO Show to talk to us. YouTube viewers, please like and subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications of new videos. Podcast listeners, please leave us 5 stars in your podcast app.
Special notes this week, we want to say RIP to Rutger Hauer, also known as Roy from Blade Runner. I don't know if you guys saw it going around, but in Blade Runner takes place in 2019, and his character died in 2019, and he actually died in 2019, so that's a, I guess, Easter egg. But anyways, also played tons of other huge characters. You know him from Batman Begins. He was head of the company of Wayne Corp. So they got booted out there, and he's been in several other things.
Hobo with a Shotgun. Sin City, Porters, Kingdom Heart, The Sonata, The Sisters, Corbin Nash, Channel Zero, Samson, The Broken Key, 24 Hours to Live, Observer. I could go on.
Yeah, he's been around for quite a while, and that speech that he's so well known for in Blade Runner, the material that Ridley Scott wrote for it, he didn't think really worked. And this is a big deal for an actor to step up and say, hey, I know you wrote this, but it doesn't really work for me. But Ridley Scott was open to the idea, and he said, okay, well, what do you got? And he said, okay, well, this is what I think. And he was like, that's absolutely the right thing. So that whole speech about, getting lost like tears in the rain and that kind of thing, and all the things that he's seen and it won't matter. It's like, yeah, he wrote that. That was amazing. Sticks with you. So, as far as the live thing goes, I'm saying 99% sure we're going live. It's just a matter of getting the things together, and we'll let you know when that's happening, when we got a date on that. So, that's coming, just not 100% sure when yet. So, watch out for that. And spoiler alert, of course, we will be getting spoilery if you didn't understand the way Quinn said it at the beginning. Because his geek voice. But yeah, we're getting spoilery. We're not going to purposely spoil your favorite fandoms, but we will get into some stuff that may get into that. So, be warned.
Not too spoilery, but it'll be spoils.
Mm-hmm. Like the fact that your bag of dice looks like the Sorting Hat.
Yes, yeah.
It sorts you into Dungeons or Dragons. That was dumb. So, what are you guys into this week? What are you listening to? What are you watching, reading, whatever? Let us know in the comments below. Let us know if we should miss it or don't miss it, and we might check it out. So, you want to go first?
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
We always start with you, I guess.
So, I've been watching The Boys on Amazon Video. Is that what it's called?
It's weird.
Okay.
Video Unlimited Prime
Video, whatever.
Yeah,
Amazon's thing that they have TV shows on. The Boys. So I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'll just give you a quick synopsis of the show. It's basically, so the way that I look at it, because the way my brain works. So imagine if Lex Luthor was the good guy. Still had no powers, but instead of him being like rich in charge of a corporation, he's broke and lives at home with his dad.
He's like a mastermind like Lex Luthor?
It seems like he's getting there. But he's not there yet, and has a growing disdain for heroes.
He's definitely seeing the big picture and like how things need to be put in check. Type thing.
And like the heroes,
which could be the hallmark of a supervillain.
Like the heroes, as they are, they work for this giant corporation, and them being a hero,
kind of like Mystery Men.
Yeah.
I love Mystery Men.
And like, they, like being a hero is like a job, and like it's to the point where like, oh, we can send this hero here because he fits that demographic and he can really help lower crime. But it's really, they're just kind of just standing there and looking pretty, because the heroes that are the heroes, they are terrifying.
Yeah, and they've got like this behind the scenes life that is not cool, doing things that aren't good, aren't hero like. No, at all.
Like all sorts of things. It's not family oriented. Don't watch this movie. This
and
is
it's
like
Carl Urban, if you're familiar with him from Judge Dredd, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, everything under the sun.
Like there's so much.
So don't miss it, but miss it with your kids.
Miss it with your kids, but don't miss it. Yep.
So good.
Many things.
We watched the Pink Panther for Pizza Movie Night. Obviously, we watched the Steve Martin one, so it's a don't miss because it was funnier than I remember.
Oh, I'm gonna have to say miss. It just didn't do it for me. It had some funny points, but to be honest, like when it first came out, everybody was raving about it. I love Steve Martin, and I love his physical comedy and all of it, and his style. Like I came up on Steve Martin, but The Jerk, all that. But for some reason, like even when it came out, like I didn't get very far into it.
Says the person that cackled like a kid the whole movie.
Because I was trying to play along. No, it did have some funny stuff, and it was kind of like more of, oh, I remember people talking about the hamburger thing, and so now this is kind of funny, and I'm trying to make the kids get into it and laugh all big. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've pulled the curtain back. But yeah, I don't know. It just, I didn't think it was that great. I mean, it definitely had some funny stuff, but some of it just was like only Steve Martin could get away with, like trying to pull a mini car into a parking space, and the gag going on for like a full minute of just like boom, hit it. I mean, he hit each car like twice, and it was obvious where it was going. It was super predictable, but only Steve Martin could get away with that. You know what I mean? If it was anybody but Steve Martin in that role, we would have been like, this is dumb.
Completely disagree, but that's fine. Anything else that we watched? You've been playing The Witcher.
Yeah, I got The Witcher. I did my unboxing. Find that on YouTube. And also, I watched Spider-Man 3. No, not Spider-Man 3. I'm sorry, Far From Home. I don't know why I said The Witcher. The Witcher 3 is what I've been playing, and I would have been watching The Boys, but I got The Witcher, and I've been trying to like immerse myself and figure out what that Netflix show is going to look like in that world and that type thing. Even though they're not going to do the video game storylines in the show, they're going more of the books route.
They might do some video game fighting.
Yeah.
Because.
Yeah, like the world is similar, so that I kind of wanted to be up on that, like who the characters are and that type of thing. Plus I love RPGs, and I haven't played one in a long time. And I appreciate Lydia for just letting me do it, and even setting me up with a nice little pillow and everything, and got me comfortable.
So miss it or don't.
Yeah, don't miss that. Spider-Man Far From Home, my review is on YouTube. I say don't miss that. It was amazing. Huge implications for the MCU going forward. Also, one thing we forgot to mention last week, we finished up the OA season 2.
Oh, yeah.
And it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm left with the same feeling from last season where I was just kind of like, what? Why? You know, even though, like, the ride up to that point was fun, it was like, what is going to happen? This is nuts. This is crazy. Then the ending was like, oh, what in the world? Why? Why would you do that?
I liked
It's
this
weird.
season way better than I liked last season, and I love last season. So I
loved
say don't miss it.
Yeah, don't miss it. But the ending is just kind of like, it's one of those that leaves you scratching your head.
No, it didn't leave you scratching your head. This was way more of like an explained, closured ending than it was. I think you're forgetting what it was.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't see how they're going to go forward and still. Yeah, anyway, it's weird. It's weird. Get ready. It's weird, but watch it for sure. It's good. It's just really weird.
I think they get it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Okay. Yeah. I can't say how much it is weird. I think that's it. That's what we've been watching. What we into this week. I've watched a little bit more of Akita. I didn't finish that yet either, just because it's a lot to take in, and it's super long. Yeah.
Anything else you were doing, or just The Boys?
I got Fire Emblem. Been playing that.
You were doing The Boys?
Huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have phrased it.
Sorry.
After I did, I was like,
That's what she said.
shouldn't have said that. Nobody says that. Nobody.
The Office.
Nobody says that about The Boys, okay? Men, different. Boys,
Have a drink
no.
with the boys. Out with the boys. Never doing the boys.
Other than watching The Boys, you're only making this worse.
Okay.
Other than watching The Boys.
I've been playing Fire Emblem. That's about it. The new one that came out for the Switch. That's okay. And I'm good. That's it.
Cool.
Bye.
Number one movie.
And the number one movie this week is still Lion King.
Ba-boom.
But yeah, and now also, congrats, Lion King. You made to the $1 billion club.
Well, not yet. It is
Not yet?
well on its way.
on its
If
way?
it will,
Okay.
when the numbers come out for the weekend, which
They'll
I
probably-
think they have, I just haven't seen them yet because it's Tuesday.
So then why tell him
It's
he's
get-
wrong?
It's on its way. He said welcome to. I mean, I guess.
But you said you don't know. You haven't checked the numbers.
I'm pretty
Because
sure
last I checked, it wasn't there yet, but it is well on its way.
probably
Sorry.
there. That's cool.
Well, because if some people watch it, you know how internet trolls are. It's not there yet.
Yeah, because we have a bunch of those flocking over everything.
You never know. They come out of the woodwork, out of the blue.
We can just drop kick them. It's okay.
I would rather err on the side of caution, of correctness.
Are you going to say anything about that?
Also, Lion King is also the #1 animated film of all time. Yeah, and if you're still debating whether it's live action or animated, it is animated. The entire, like, all the environment and all that was created in a computer. None of that was shot on location or anything like that. It's all CG.
I definitely heard that like 2 of those ferns were real.
I saw a meme that said something like, I can't tell the difference between what's real and what's CG. It's all CG. So
It has about a little less than 40 million to go. And then it'll be there.
yeah, so it's super close. It's with the worldwide numbers, and this is only the second week. It's definitely going to. It's like the biggest opening in the first 10 days or something like that. It's insane. And it had like criticism to deal with too. So it's doing well. Also, through our affiliate Fandango, you will be able to go to the website www.broken.pictures/the FOMO Show, and you'll be able to order movie tickets and all that kind of stuff and see what is happening, what new movies are out every single week. So we'll no longer be doing that here on the show, but you can go to the website and do that, and even order a ticket and go see a movie. So, and that'll be at no extra cost to you, but it will help us out a little bit. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, the top 3 this week in pop culture that you may have missed.
Yeah. Well, number 1, Netflix is crashing. It's losing all that money.
Yeah, that sweet dough. Like
How much of that sweet dough?
about $26 billion in a week. And this was like, I want to say last week or the week before. Like, I mean, we didn't really talk about it immediately, but there is some info moving forward on that because of Comic-Con announcements and Turner, not Turner. Yeah, Time Warner, which is owned by AT&T, which owns Warner Brothers and NBC Universal and Universal Studios. It's another one of those conglomerates like Disney that just owns everything. But for some reason, they've decided to call their streaming service HBOmax. Like, hey, here's more HBO. Whoops. Oh, by the way, Lydia's not here. It's band week, so Josiah, my son, is band practice twice a day, and she's running to pick him up real quick. She'll be back. Yep.
But yeah, so Netflix losing money shows, I guess, a couple things.
Yeah, the streaming wars are in full-blown war right now.
Full swing?
Full swing? Yeah.
Full swing.
All-out war.
Because, I mean, Netflix hasn't had any real competition. Like, other TV stations had, like, streaming service. But now... major companies that are just devoting their time, money, and effort to making sure that their stuff that they get your money over other people's, and then taking their stuff off of Netflix, because Netflix isn't the only dog in the yard anymore. Netflix might not be around too much longer if it keeps up this way.
Yeah, and that's what the big companies usually do. They'll Facebook let Instagram figure out how to do it, and then went and swooped in and bought Instagram. You know what I mean?
Facebook owns Instagram?
They've owned Instagram for a long time. Yeah.
I didn't know this.
And they own all kinds of stuff. WhatsApp.
What?
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And even like some little fledgling ones you've never heard of. But yeah, so that's what Disney does too. Like they'll let somebody do it. Apple does the same thing. Like right now, they're letting all these internet radio stations come work on their platform. In a couple years, they're going to come out with their own platform and kick all these guys out and say, "Hey, now you got to come through us
and give me that money."
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that they basically using the smaller platforms to let them get over the hurdles and lose the money and bang their head against the wall, figure out what works. And then they say, oh, okay, yeah, now we know how to do it. And then they come in and boom, blow it out of the water, which is,
kind of dirty.
Yeah, it's pretty dirty. But I mean, that's capitalism. That's business. Hey, welcome to America. So Netflix right now is lost. It's lost The Office, or it's losing The Office because that's going back on NBC, which is Universal, which is Time Warner, and now it's losing Friends, which is NBC, Time Warner.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
They were already losing Friends beforehand. Now they're just
actual Friends or Friends of the show?
Both.
Yeah, they lost tons of subscribers. And so one of the solutions that they're looking into, I mean, Netflix has a lot of good original content, but it looks like Disney Plus and HBOmax, when they come out, they're going to stick to the weekly format. Like just like on the you turn on your TV on the TV station on a cable, you watch episode a week, comes out every week. Excuse me. Netflix does the binging thing, right?
You just put all.
Yeah, they just drop it all, but that's kind of like to their own detriment. It's a mixed bag because I mean we love just it's all out right now. I can just take a weekend and boom, be done with it.
Watch it all.
But that's the thing is you take a weekend, you watch it and you're huge on it for a couple days and then you move on. Whereas the weekly thing has a slow burn.
Yep.
It's like every week we're talking about something. Did you see this episode? The water cooler talk. Netflix doesn't really have that.
It's just, did you watch Stranger Things? Yeah, I just finished it last night.
Except for shows like The Office and Friends that they have become more into they've stayed in the lexicon, they've stayed in the zeitgeist or whatever, where people are still talking about them, and they've given them a second life because they're on streaming, just because they're good shows and people have the opportunity to just watch it 24/7 all the time. So that is a benefit of that, but that is also once it's already come out. So like Stranger Things 3, like everybody was huge on it for like 2-3 weeks, and now we're on to other things, and it seems like that was forever ago.
Yeah.
When really, if they would have been doing like a week-to-week format, they would have had
still be watching it.
Yeah, 8 weeks at least of, man, that episode was crazy. And shows like this and the way the internet is working nowadays, you know, with the clickbait or even YouTube shows like this, you know, where people are talking about it on a regular basis, like we would be doing a Stranger Things show and talking about it week to week rather than one big review show or just a segment of this and doing a review.
And then you wouldn't have to worry about spoilers as much. Like, because like Stranger Things that next day, like, oh, this is theories of who's in the cage. What cage?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, all the trolls out there and the clickbait, you know, just teasing stuff that nobody's even seen yet, just so they could be the first on the scene, you know. Mm-hmm. And plus the slow burn. Netflix is looking into this. Like experimenting some of their shows with this just to see how it works, and there might be some kickback at first with people like, oh, I don't like this, but really I think that makes sense for them, especially if they're trying to compete when they've got a lot of original content and original movies coming out where they don't need to depend on Disney or Universal or NBC or whatever, or these other ones. Which are big, just two. But yeah, these other ones coming on the scene and stealing their thunder or taking their shows away, you know, because that they've depended on, like Friends or The Office. So that, I mean, plus just like you were saying, theories week to week. Like, I mean, think like shows like Stranger Things, where it's like every week there would be a new theory discussed, you know, and it would give room for people to be wrong or this or that, or explore this, or explore that. And just go, and it would just develop, and that would just really keep it on the forefront for a longer time. And I don't know, I think that's a great idea.
And then they wouldn't have to worry about somebody just kind of turning on their subscription just to watch that one thing, and then I'm gonna turn this off now. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Netflix for a month, pay $10, and I'm watching everything I want, and then I'm gonna get out.
Yep.
And then in another couple months, I'm gonna go in and watch all the other stuff, and then I'm gonna get back out. They'd have to keep because I mean, like Stranger Things 3 is coming out. I'm gonna get my subscription. I'm gonna binge it. I'm gonna be done with it. But if it was an 8-week thing, like how many months is that? Was that?
It's 2 months.
Yeah. I mean, they would at least get double, you know, out of that. So they would double it. I mean, that's in itself, and if it's spaced between 3 months, you know what I mean? So
we're gonna take a 6-week break. Now watch other things. Yeah.
Or people might wait to the end, but then they're not going to be able to talk with their friends, you know, and get the water cooler talk, and oh my gosh, this is happening, and they'll be spoiled and this and that. So there's that draw. There's pros and cons to it,
and especially with like. Them putting as much money as they are into, you know, The Witcher and maybe some other shows that are coming out, like they kind of got to think about it. They got to really play the long game with it, because if like if they drop all however many episodes of The Witcher there's gonna be, and then somebody, no matter how long they are, somebody just watches them all in like a day or two, and then just turns it off again. It's like, well, this isn't gonna work if we're gonna try and do like 8 seasons of this.
Yeah. And it really forces them to constantly be putting out, blowing money, new content, instead of being able to double down on what they've already got and just slow burn it, you know. Yeah. So that would save them a lot of money, as well as bring in more money. It just makes more sense business wise for them to do that.
We'll see what they do.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? You know, like the HBO branding, Lydia was mentioning, just for her sake, she's not here. She was mentioning the HBO branding, because I was like, why would they call it HBO rather than Time Warner because you got multiple streams. It would be like, you know, all the Broken Pictures stuff now is the FOMO Show. Max, you know, instead of we've got, you know, where we talk about Westworld, we talk about The Broken Dead, and those are their own shows. Yeah. You know, and the FOMO show is his own thing, and they're all under the Broken Pictures banner or whatever. You know, to me that makes sense, but Lydia does make a good point about right now HBO has the recognition, it has the draw. But to my argument for that is that seems like because they own DC Comics, that seems like the problem with the DCEU is that put the cart before the horse idea, where we're going to attack right now rather than think long term,
Yeah.
But
well, they're getting theirs out there kind of first, and I think I really just think they're just gonna try, just get the money first, and then somewhere down the line, after they got a good constant number of subscribers and a good flow of money coming in, they'll be like, oh, and now we're changing this, and then announce like a thousand new shows and bring back maybe old shows. Because I feel like at some point in time, HBO Max will become Warner Brothers Unlimited.
And it just makes sense, because like, why am I watching DC on HBO? That kind of thing. I don't know. So everything becomes HBO, which is good for HBO, but right now HBO is hot, but it won't all. You run the risk of, because HBO is a channel, it might go through a dry season and not have a good show for a little while. But anyways,
we'll see.
Anything else you want to say about that?
Number 2.
Yeah, number
Disney.
2 kind of goes with number 1 a little bit, where Netflix is experiencing kind of a crash of sorts because of other competitors like HBOmax / Time Warner streaming and Disney Plus coming out, which everybody is going to be on board with that because they got all the good stuff. Yeah. And they're really bolstering Hulu's importance right now too. So that's they own 2 out of the 4. That's insane. 4 big ones.
4 big streaming services. We're all 4.
Netflix, Hulu, Time Warner, and Disney Plus.
Oh snap!
Yeah, but Time Warner has a huge back catalog. But anyways, number 2 is Disney's dominance. I mean, they are just killing it right now. They like I was talking about in number 1. Like, it seems like Time Warner isn't really playing the long game, and they've got the power, they've got the wealth, they've got the back catalog to go in and they can afford to go in and cash grab and play short game and still win short term. But Disney's playing the long game. And that's why Disney is on top of everything right now.
I think Disney's playing the long game, but Time Warner's playing they're definitely playing the short game. Just they're playing the like Disney can't always be on top game.
Yeah.
And at some point in time, we're gonna get our stuff together.
Yeah, but I mean, they're playing checkers and Disney's playing chess.
3D chess.
Yeah. Exactly. Star Wars reference. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's half of my nerd card. I still got the reference. So I mean, they're playing for the quick jump, the quick move, what needs to happen right now. But Disney is still raking in that sweet moolah. And right now they are the biggest, most profitable studio in Hollywood history,
which is ridiculous,
insane. Yeah. So I mean, they've even, and it's only July. Like, by the time you watch this, it might be August, but the numbers came out in July, and we're looking at. I mean, let me see if I can pull this up.
But and it's because they got everything under their umbrella, like everything now. They got Marvel, and they got Marvel before Marvel was like really cool, and now they got Marvel and they made it extra cool. Yeah. They have Star Wars, which I still don't know the whole story of why George Lucas sold Disney to Star Wars. Granted, it's a ridiculous amount of money that he took, and I would have probably done the same thing because he's now going to build a museum.
Sorry.
That's cool. And they got Fox, and Fox, like Time Warner, has a super deep back catalog. And now they have basically all of their characters that they would actually want from Marvel. Like they bought Hulk back from Universal, didn't they?
No. Well, they have Hulk. but Universal still has the streaming rights.
Okay.
Or not the streaming rights, but the distribution rights.
Okay.
Which is why Hulk doesn't have its own movie.
Oh.
Because they kind of Marvel depended on Universal for the first Hulk movie, and now they kind of got themselves in trouble with that.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
So
sad.
yeah, and I mean, of course, there's a statute of limitations on that, but we'll see. I'm not sure when. All those deals and that kind of information is kind of hush hush. They don't really put that out there sometimes, so we don't really know when that's going to happen.
Okay.
But you know, like you said, I mean, Fox does have a huge back catalog, which is one of the reasons they got Fox. Because there's a huge back catalog of movies, TV shows, all kinds of stuff. I mean, I mean, think about like even Firefly.
Oh, why did you have to say that? It doesn't exist anymore. There's a universe out there where Firefly still exists.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did a reunion show on that, or not a reunion show, but maybe just a revival. That would make sense.
that would make sense.
Sorry, I'm trying to get. I clicked on the wrong thing. I'm trying to get to these numbers.
Oh.
Like the list of what. All right, so Disney earning right now, which is like 7.67 billion so far this year or something. I mean, it's more now because these numbers are old, or at least a week old. But I mean, that's not even. We've got
7.67 billion.
Yeah, because how many? Okay, here we go. We've got Avengers in this year so far. We've got Avengers Endgame, $2 billion movie.
Jesus.
Captain Marvel, $1 billion movie.
Really?
It did. When you consider like the worldwide income
Okay.
and all that kind of stuff. Aladdin, $1 billion movie.
Really?
It did, yeah. The Lion King, on its way to being $1 billion movie.
It's gonna be $1 billion by the end of this week.
Mm-hmm. Toy Story 4. Looks like it's going to be $1 billion movie because there's some world markets that it still hasn't opened up in yet.
What?
Yeah.
That's not even
It's
fair.
still just like living out there.
That's like oh, I'm not using 100% of my power yet. I'm only using 25. What
Yeah.
kind of
I've got something interesting for you. I'm not right-handed. I'm not left-handed. Oh, I screwed up that reference. Sorry, Princess Bride people.
It's okay.
So, Dumbo. Only like 400 million.
That's fine.
Which is still
that's a lot
like-
of money.
Yeah, I mean, like if Tarantino did a $400 million movie, everybody would be like, "Oh my god,
He would
that's
just
insane."
I'm kind of done now. I don't think I'm gonna do
that's
this again.
it's crazy. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had a $40 million opening, and that's his biggest opening. You know, so
Still
I mean, like
laudable.
Dumbo was like, "Oh, Dumbo was their just crappy movie."
$400 million is crappy now,
Right.
Which like
For
goes,
Disney standards, I guess.
which goes into like a whole nother thing. Like, what constitutes a blockbuster now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is this just the normal forever, or are we
Yeah.
just like in an era of, oh, this is just the right moment in time that all these people exist for us to do something like this?
Mm-hmm.
But it's been 10 years, and Disney every summer, Disney Marvel combination of both, make tons of money off of anything that has that.
Playing the long game, that slow
Yeah.
burn.
And now, like, I feel like we won't have original movies like
Yeah, every one of these, every single one of these is either a sequel or a remake.
Yep. Or an adaptation of a comic that people like.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's
Yeah, I mean Captain Marvel MCU, I guess in the
'cause that
sequel
one's not,
territory.
that one's just weird.
Well, I mean it's connected to the MCU, so it's built upon. It's a
Yeah,
tentpole picture.
it's built in
Spin-off
that universe.
Ish.
A prequel, I guess. I guess you should watch Captain America
Yeah.
and then Captain Marvel. The Tale of
Yeah.
Two Captains.
Oh.
I want that movie now.
Yeah.
But like I feel like original ideas are always from here on forth are going to be compared to, like, if especially they come out in the summer, like we might not have franchises that just kind of blow up on their own that we might not realize.
Yeah, that's the argument, because some critics and analysts are saying that this is going to be the new normal. Like, the bar is raised and we can't go back, and everything has to go through this filter now. But some people are saying that this is just a one-time deal. This is just a magic thing, because every one of these are built from something, and that's not sustainable, because next year, some of them will be remakes or this or that, because we're talking about, like, I mean, Star Wars, the final one of the series still hasn't come out, even though there might be another Star Wars movie, which is going to be another 2 or 3 years out. Frozen 2, which, that's a sequel. Maleficent 2 is still coming out. And these, I mean, Star Wars, $1 billion. Frozen 2, $1 billion. Maleficent 2, probably not, but still a great movie.
Yeah.
I think it's going to do better than Dumbo, but, but still,
it's like, it's just ridiculous. Like the first time, like, I feel like I started really paying attention to, like, movies in the summer was probably the summer of 2008, because so much came out that summer. Had the very first Transformers, which I, like, really enjoyed. Iron Man. I believe Hulk came out later, like, at the end of the summer.
Hulk came out before Iron Man, actually.
It did? Okay. Hulk, Iron Man that summer. And, like, it kind of feel like then, and I can't really remember any other movies that came out that summer.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how it's going to be.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, Disney beating this record was actually beating their own record from 2016. So it's not an every year thing. I mean, we'll see it, it's few and far between. But another argument, like, of course you've got, looking at it, you can be cynical and say, well, screw it. Disney owns everything now. There's no point of even trying, why even try, because Disney owns everything. But at the same time, like, there's an argument to be made that Disney is enriching the movie going experience and the film industry. Excuse me, because people are enjoying themselves in the theater. More people are going to the theater, and not just to see Disney films, but to see other films. I mean, you think about right now, Endgame, when it was announced that Endgame is going to be like almost 3 hours long. Like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But I'm still down. I'm going to go see that. Like, who goes to, like, back in the day, like, oh, Titanic was long or whatever. That was a big deal. People went in droves to see it. Avatar, people went in droves to see it. But right now, on the heels of that, you've got a horror franchise. It Part 2 coming out almost 3 hours long. And people are
it's not.
It is. People are super excited for it. So, I mean, like, that could not have happened successfully without Endgame. I mean, there's an argument to be made for that,
Why is that movie almost 3 hours? There's
That's a lot of scares. That's a lot of stories.
No reason for any of that.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, that's exciting, because it was like, I always thought, of course you've got book material, and the movie always has to, cut this up to make it fit in a certain time slot or whatever. But there's so much more rich material that could fit into the movie to make it better, make it more enriching, make it more enjoyable. And to me, this, like, I would love to see this. And plus, audiences are more conditioned for longer stories now, because we're getting the movie experience on our TV screens through streaming, and all the, like, Game of Thrones, like, I mean, like, movie going experiences on the small screen, and not just the cheesy, chopped up version, like, it's like, oh, do you watch the MCU or you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? It's like, it's like, there's the cheesy, not so great version that doesn't have all the, all the money or all the resources or all the big name actors. But Disney Plus is remedying that.
Yeah.
They're ending Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and now all the Disney Plus streaming TV shows will be with the big movie actors.
Yeah.
Even the cartoon What If spinoff is going to have the voices of the big actors. So I mean that's a huge step forward for the fans.
Yeah.
For the movie-going experience. So,
but I feel like at the same time that it raises expectations, but then there are like certain companies that can't meet that expectation because they don't have the billions upon billions of dollars that Disney has.
Right.
And so if somebody, they put out their movie, they put blood, sweat, and tears into this, and like this, they know this is a good thing, and like people would like to see it. But someone goes in there and see it who's your average moviegoer, not a critic, not someone that just goes to a movie and like that's their life. Like, oh, I'm free on a Tuesday, let me go pay $5 to see this. And they see your movie that may be great, but they leave like, that wasn't as good as the Avengers. And like,
I don't know that those movies will be held to that standard. Like, and we're gonna get a little bit into this in number 3, but I mean, when you're talking about like, I mean that does raise a point about like Amazon, even YouTube, is trying to establish themselves in the streaming big game.
shows.
Yeah, YouTube has YouTube Red or whatever, where they got TV shows like Cobra Kai, which I mean are getting critical acclaim, and they're really trying to step it up. But at the same time, those were always platforms where the little guy had a shot. And right now, people that come into YouTube, I mean, it's hard for people, creators right now not getting paid as much. There's even a lawsuit where I want to say a European country is suing YouTube because they're screwing the creators, the people who built their platform, and they're trying to say, hey, you can't do this anymore. You have to pay them. If you're gonna build your company on their backs, you have to pay them. And stop changing the algorithm to make it more sneaky and harder to get likes and harder to get shares, unless you're Will Smith. That comes onto the platform and we're gonna push his to the front because he's Will Smith.
Yeah.
Or Ninja or whoever else that you are out there in the streaming world. You can't become a Ninja or a Will Smith without those opportunities. Like Amazon. Was there for a while. That was the place to submit your indie film, but right now I think they put an end to that. I've got a couple that I was in on Amazon Prime. That you can go watch, and it's it's not an Oscar-worthy movie. It's an indie film. It's like somebody just having fun doing their vision. And that's where the magic happens, in those small films. People learn. That's where Spielberg cut his teeth, making his own stuff. Like, you can't have a Spielberg without indie films, without that market being available and being open and people being able to cut their teeth on it and come in and try and fail,
It's not the 80s anymore.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's an argument to be made there, because right now Amazon stopped doing that, stopped doing the indie film stuff, because they're dumping all their money into Lord of the Rings prequels and The Boys and,
Which the Lord of the Rings prequels better be good.
Yeah. What is The Wheel of Time is another big one that's coming. Yeah. Yeah, the Wheel of Time franchise is coming to Amazon. I mean, like, they're dumping. There's a lot coming to Amazon in the next couple of years, and they're going to be a big player on the field.
Oh, I mean, they kind of already are. Like the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah.
Like that show.
Handmaid's Tale. No, that's Hulu.
That's
right?
Hulu.
Oh.
Yep. But Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, it's up for a lot of Emmy awards, and like it's right in there with Game of Thrones for like best show.
Mm-hmm.
And if she wins, that's kind of it. Amazon's gonna like propel that, like, this is our show, and get ready for 10 seasons of this. So yeah, but we'll see where it goes. And it's all sad. I'm sad now.
But if that leaves you sad, stay tuned for number 3.
Yay. See.
So, number 3, we're going to try to put a positive spin on this, because it's been kind of like, meh, meh, meh. Even though you could look at it from different perspectives and see different points of view, this is proof positive that not everything is going the way of the dinosaur when it comes to original content, originality. Because the king of original content, Quentin Tarantino himself.
Yay.
Who is, I want to say our generation Spielberg, but Spielberg is our generation Spielberg.
Yeah.
Who, came up from nowhere and, that kind of thing. Just a huge fan of movies and just started making his own stuff and got big. Tarantino worked in a movie rental store. And he didn't go to film school. He just watched everything under the sun. Obscure stuff. Just watched everything. And so much so that like critics call his stuff bad, but in the worst way. His style is making bad good. It's so weird in that. So it's just proof positive that he has created his own style and his own brand,
Yeah.
and made his own way, and really just an American story, pull yourself up by your bootstraps type thing.
His stuff's so bad, good, original, weird, that he keeps getting Samuel L. Jackson to come back and be in his movies. This is his second movie with Leonardo DiCaprio in it. He can get people to come back to be in his stuff, and they like working with him, or else they wouldn't, come back.
Yeah, this is the dream for writer directors, people working. Hey, Lydia's back.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
What are we talking about?
We are talking about number 3,
Mr.
Tarantino. Welcome back, Lydia.
Welcome back, Lydia.
We're talking about number 3. Tarantino has made his own way, and his path is really just the dream for every filmmaker in America right now, who wants to write his own stuff and her own stuff, make their own content. Because that's what he does. He sits back and he writes his own stuff and he makes his own stuff. And that's kind of I'm not really going to get into it, but that's what the route that Jordan Peele has taken as well. There's some backlash as to why he won't direct Blade. People want him to, whatever, but he wants to do his own stuff, and that's respectable. That's fine. His original content. But this is a light, a positive on the side of Disney owns everything. When we were talking about Disney owning everything, and this is the new normal, perhaps, I don't necessarily think that everyone will be held to the same standard as Disney and some of these big dogs like Time Warner and Warner Brothers and all this stuff, because Tarantino, this is his biggest film to date, and he had a $40 million opening. If a Disney movie had a $40 million opening, it'd be like, oh, you know what I mean? But for him, this is oh my gosh, great job, This is a huge deal.
Yeah. It's you did it on your own, without taking that blood money.
Yeah.
So, but have you seen all of them? All of his movies? I've seen a good chunk.
All
of
but
them.
this one. I haven't seen this one yet.
I haven't seen this one either. And I've the second I heard that it was coming out, and then I saw his name, I got real giddy, and I was I gotta see this. And then I saw the trailer, and then I saw what it was gonna be about, and I was oh, this might make me cry.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and it's a tale of you can still do it. It's possible, but it might be a little harder now. And Quentin Tarantino started back before Disney was this is my empire.
Yeah,
this
when Disney was still struggling,
Yeah.
I was watching one thing that was talking about how Disney wasn't always the big dog. Back when they put out Tron, they did not have, as far as movies go, they did not have a good track record, and they had to basically beg theaters to show Tron.
Wow.
And that was the 80s,
Yep. But now
Now they still can't put out a good Tron movie.
they can't.
But still, I enjoyed it. But anyways. Yeah, so, and this, as far as original content, this also there's a place for this, because it also creates opportunity for where Disney might not want to get into the politics of certain things where, you know, like, should stuntmen be have the opportunity to get an Oscar?
Yes.
You know, pretty much everybody agrees, you know, especially, but this movie shines a light on it because Brad Pitt plays the stuntman, you know, and, you know, everybody, oh, yeah, the stuntman. But, I mean, they work their tail off. And, I mean, you know, Jackie Chan is his own stuntman, so I don't know how that works. Maybe get another Oscar, but, or get an Oscar, be in 2 categories. But, like, he would have won that time and time again. But, you know.
Call it the Jackie Chan Lifetime Achievement Award.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Like, is there a stuntman award show? I don't know. Surely there is. Like, there's got to be like a stuntman.
I feel like there is. Just it's not televised.
Yeah. Lydia's looking it up. She's on the job. Yeah. So, I mean, where smaller movies like this can shine a light on something that needs to be talked about or needs to be dealt with, as where the big dogs, they don't want to get their hands dirty with that kind of thing.
I don't know, but the first thing that popped up when I said awards for stunt doubles, when Brie Larson won her MTV Movie Award, she brought her stunt doubles up on stage with her.
Yeah, that was a big deal. That was another landmark in the talk about, you know, recognizing stunt doubles.
There's a Taurus World Stunt Awards. I don't know if that's the same thing.
I don't know.
I feel like this is for crazy stuntmen, like the ones that like jump
Like
over
X
canyons.
Games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evil Knievel stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like what is it, movie stuntman or just regular old
I feel like it should be
Super
movie
Dave?
stuntmen.
Because Super Dave had his own TV show too. Yeah.
Because yeah, but stuntmen are, and like there are some stuntmen that we don't even know that's who they are because they're just so good. And they might not even have any lines in movies. Yeah. Like the gentleman who played Darth Maul, who was also Snake Eyes in G.I. Joe.
Yeah, who became an actor.
Like he was just
Ray Park.
That's his name. Yep, I believe so.
Parks.
He was also in Heroes. He had tornadoes powers. Yeah. But he's like, it's really good in his job, and like still to this day, if you ever see him in like any sort of Comic-Con or any other type of Star Wars convention, if he happens to show, you know, he'll grab a staff and he'll show you how to Darth Maul it.
Yeah, he's a badass. So to play devil's advocate, I guess maybe a reason why people would not want this out there is because it kind of pulls back the curtain a little bit and shows what's going on behind the magic. Whereas, like, you know, you watch a movie like The Never-Ending Story, and it's obvious that a stunt woman is playing the kid, you know?
Atreyu.
Yeah, playing Atreyu. So, I mean, of course, that's a bad example because you can see the movie and not obvious that it's an adult and not the kid because of the bad wig or whatever. But, I mean, like, some of these, you can't tell and you don't know. But, I mean, for some people, that's exciting. Like, oh, like, for me, I love to see, how did they do that? You know, that kind of thing. And they could really shine a light on that behind-the-scenes stuff. But some people don't want to know. You know, it ruins it for them.
And then sometimes, like the only example that pops in my head. So back in Star Wars Episode 3, the fight between Darth Sidious and Mace Windu. Originally, it was supposed to be the stunt doubles that did it, and then they were going to CGI their faces on them.
Oh wow! Back then, that one.
Yeah, but the stunt doubles got food poisoning, so they had to do it.
Oh yeah.
But like, and there are times, you know, other times that people do that too. Like this, they CGI the faces onto the stunt double's body to make it look like it's the actor. But you know, we know who it is.
Yeah, and literally, like, and this is a thing for me. Like, I honestly have trouble working with some directors who I am a when I write and direct stuff. Yes, I have my own vision, but I am extremely open to other input. Like whatever makes it better. But there are some people that you work for that they have their own vision and that's how it's going to be. You're a meat puppet for you're their plaything.
Ouch.
You hurt your finger?
Just a little bit.
I feel like that's really excessive.
Yeah.
That's an extreme.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked for people like that. And when you get into, because there's a lot of ego in this industry, and when people get power, sometimes power corrupts, and they don't want to hear, oh, how are you going to do that character? They don't want to know your take on that character. They know that character. They wrote that character. You're going to do this, and your voice is going to sound this way, and your body's going to look like that, and takes out all the fun of being an actor, which is figuring out the character and how they walk and their stance and all that kind of stuff. And their accent or whatever, all the fun of being an actor, why people become an actor.
Yeah.
And some directors just like, no, that's me. It's my story.
You do what I say.
Wow.
And
I completely disagree with you. 100%.
Well, I've worked in the industry long enough, like since I was a kid. So, I mean, I know firsthand that this is a thing.
I'm not saying that it's not a thing, but like, it's extremely insulting to the people who just have a passion for this story and like they can't envision it any other way, and it's their creation, it's their child. So it's not fair for somebody who has latched onto it for 45 seconds to come in and say this person should be this way when they've been creating this in their mind since they were 12. It's unfair. You're just putting a really, really negative connotation on it. And there are extremes. I'm not disagreeing with you.
You're saying that because you're writing something.
I'm saying that because, and I would be extremely insulted if someone who had no clue my vision, my passion for something came in and critiqued it.
Well, here's the thing, is it's a partnership where they come in, like as an actor, I go in expecting to talk to the director and wanting to know what page they're on and where they're wanting this to go so that I can have an input on that. But some people are not open to input and they want meat puppets. And some actors are okay with that. I personally am not. I want input. I want to be invested in it.
And I agree. But the way you're phrasing it is like there are only two extremes, and there's not.
No, that I didn't think I was phrasing it like that at all. But yeah, I just from working with other people and being on both sides of it, because I've written, I've directed, and I've acted. I have been the person that is like, no, don't do it like this, do it like this. So I understand, that's not always okay, but but the director does know the big picture. And so certain things that you might not understand as an actor going in, they say, do it this way. You might get your feelings hurt at first, but then when you see the film, it's like, oh, that's why, So, I mean, yeah, you do have to have trust with your director in a partnership, because the director does know the bigger picture. So I will agree with you on that. You about to say something?
Directors are just DMs with cameras.
Basically.
Yeah.
What's a DM?
Dungeon Master.
Oh.
But I forgot where I was going with that whole thing.
We're talking about stunt doubles.
Yeah, so stunt doubles, like basically, because like you were talking about, like superimposing their faces, the actors' faces over, stunt doubles really just fade into the background. And with some jobs, you're doing a good job if people don't know you're there, like a sound guy. Like if people know you're there, you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
So yes, there are some jobs that it is like that, but I feel like a stunt double on camera, if they're doing their job, you can't tell that it's different than the actor. But there should absolutely be recognition for that job. Just like, if you're a sound guy, you sit in the back every single time there's a show and you never get acknowledged. Some people with a microphone realize this and they're like, hey, thanks to the sound guy, making us sound good, because it would sound like crap,
Yeah.
So, these jobs usually are thankless jobs, but they should be thanked and rewarded for doing a good job. And we've got sound design Oscars, we've got cinematography Oscars, and even some of these have gone into hero territory where these are big name cinematographers, and we've got this guy attached, and so that would be awesome to say, well, we've got this stunt man attached, even though like Tom Cruise does his own stunts, so he would be in that category.
He would make sure he wins at least once.
But technically he's not a stunt double, he's just an actor that can do his own stunts, so he doesn't fall into that category.
That's another thing, is like, how does that categorize? And then some studios might not want that because that means I got to pay them more for the name,
It all comes down to money, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're producing a film and you're trying to keep the cost down, then that makes sense from a business standpoint. But as a fan, you just want the best of the best, and you don't want to pay a lot for it. So.
Yeah. Well, y'all got anything else on it? Congratulations to Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
40 million.
Great job. Paving the way for up-and-comers to, see a light at the end of the tunnel and know that there is a path and there is still room for creators and original content out there, even though we've got Disney just owning everything and we're loving it. You've got to also think about like they wouldn't be dominating if we weren't actually out there seeing it. So they're doing something right, because art is a subjective thing, and it can go what. Quin's laughing to himself.
Sorry, I just thought about the Hateful Eight. That's all. The one scene where Samuel Jackson's character is standing over the hole, and then Channing Tatum's character was under the floorboard, and then he shot up and shot him in the nuts and blew his nuts off. That was I just thought about
You would never see that in a Disney movie. It's like that was one of the arguments people had when Disney bought Fox. It's like, you're not going to see that again.
Yeah.
But there obviously is still room for that, and people want to see that, which is why they're keeping Deadpool R-rated and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole different thing. But there's still a light at the end. There's still room for that out there. Disney is dominating, but like I said, they wouldn't be dominating if we didn't go see their films. So they're doing something right.
Yeah. They are.
So I think as a whole, big picture, it's good for the industry. Even though it's different and we don't like it,
Well, it might be a little harder down the road, but we'll see. In 10 years, ask us this question again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Competition is healthy, Of course, monopolies aren't healthy. But right now, hopefully we'll still see Netflix around in 10 years because they've got their own content and they've, fought their ways tooth and nail and earned it.
Netflix switch to weekly, please. You'll be around a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's like the big names are the gauntlet that the new guys must pass through. So,
Lydia, anything?
Nope, not a thing.
Alrighty.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in. So whether you're watching YouTube or podcast, like I said, thanks for tuning in. If you want to keep the conversation going or support the show, you can, of course, comment below. But you can also find all that info in the episode notes and on the website at www.broken.pictures.no.com. Had to think about it for a second. And don't forget, you can leave us a voicemail or ask us questions that we might play on the show. And you can go do that at www.anchor.fm/The FOMO Show. YouTube viewers, please like and subscribe and hit the little bell icon to get notifications when we put out new content. And all podcast listeners, please leave us 5 stars in your podcast app. This is Dylan.
And I'm Lydia.
This is Quin.
And thanks for watching. Peace.
Bye.